midday update. We're watching the market heading towards its lows on the day. I want to show you what I've done here this morning. On the open, I went ahead and bought a put for 1 day. Now this is dangerous, but I manage my order, but I manage my risk at order entry. Okay? So in other words, I was willing to write off the full amount of this option. Now let's watch as this thing goes crazy here. We're going to go to a minute by minute. Now I've got an order in here to take profits at almost 10 times return. Okay, so you can see this was trading over 400 yesterday. So we bought it at 45 this morning. And if you look at the volatility in here, it went up to 360, went all the way back down below 100. And we bought it right near the opening at 45. Now because this option expires today, there's not going to be any time premium left in this thing as it drops. So what we're hoping is to see a vol expansion in here. To be honest, it would be better to do a longer dated put. I would probably get bigger bang for the buck. We can compare other puts to see where we would have been better off. Let's do that now. Okay, we're approaching the low of the day, 7 days out, and see how much. Here's the low and the high. So as we watch this, we can see where would we get the biggest bang for our buck? Where would we make the most money on this contract? If you look over here in the bottom left, you can see there's a huge amount of volume coming in yesterday and today. This is a daily chart. So now we've got a minute by minute time frame on this. Okay, so now we're popping back up. As we pop back up, so we just went down to 300, and that's going to be just, in all likelihood, there will be some bids right at the 300 strike because that's a psychological level. So now we're going to see if we can bounce up from this level. If not, if this thing goes back down and blows through 300, then the SPY could end up going a lot lower. So let's take a look at the chart of the SPY and see what just happened. Basically shows that we've already got an order in to take profits if it gets down there. Now what we could have done is said, okay, we should take profits right there at 300 and look for a bounce back, but you're going to have to be really quick if you want to be clever with it. Bouncing back up off the 300. So the question is going to be is we still have 2 hours of trading. Now watch, because there's no more premium in this, this thing can drop quite a bit. So if we get this wrong, if we look at where the market's trading right now at 301, our strike is 303. The intrinsic value is 200 on that, and the 303 call is $80 in extrinsic. So this is actually trading a little cheap at 270. In other words, if we wanted to, we could come in here and do what? If we bought this one, we could actually go in and, no, there's nothing for us to do there. So what's interesting here is if you look, this put is actually trading down from yesterday, okay? And the calls are trading down from yesterday. So you can see implied volatility is coming out in here, right? So both sides are losing right now. When we go further out, we can see that the puts are actually, some of the puts are actually up on the day, even though the S&Ps are trading unchanged. So volatility is coming up a little bit 7 days out. You can see that the calls are only down 7% and the puts are kind of unchanged up 1%. Here, with 0 days to go, you can see that the calls are down 40% and the puts are down 50%. So there's a lot of volatility in there right now. The market's moving all over the place. Now, where else can we look for clues on what's going to happen next? I mean, again, the markets around them, they could end up going anywhere. We don't know where they're going to go. Anything could happen in here. Well, let's go take a look at what the bond is doing. We have the TLT we can watch. Now, the TLT, which traded way down to 162 this morning, and I did nothing with those. Now they're basically down $0.50. If the market starts to really move down, you're going to see the TLT really shoot up. And right now, it's still down. So we're still are not looking at a full-on fear in the market at this point. Let's go back to the SPY. We're still a bit early in the day. It's not even 2 p.m. and this thing is already Well, it's basically unchanged on the day. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if we blow down through here. In fact, if we go back down through the 300 strike, the vols could really take off in here. I've got an order in to take profits at 400 on this put. And I paid 45 cents for it, so it's almost 10 times. I'm going to use the 4 price. I could move it a little bit further up to get the full 10-time benefit. In fact, if this thing really starts to drop below 300, we actually might see volatility pick up in there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move in order for me to get filled on this thing, if this thing breaks below 300, we're probably going to see a spike in vol. If we see a spike in volatility, then we should be able to get more than 400 for this if this thing blows through 300. So if I switch it to 450, I'm focusing on my profits. I'm focusing on making 10 times my money. I put the position on this morning. We don't know where this market's going. I'm surprised the market's been trading as high as it has. I suspect there's a lot of people really long this market in this rally. So we're going to see what happens here. We're going to see whether they can keep this thing above 300. I suspect, let's go back and look at the chart again. Where do we go? So not that we know anything, let's go back to the 30-minute. If we get below the low, which was what, 300, where do we go? Let's go back a little bit further. Where does this thing go? What, 290? I mean, where do we go from here? I don't see any level down in here that suggests that we will stay. Like, where do we go? 294? So this thing could drop quite a bit today. So here we go. We're making new lows. Here's our put. And look at the implied volatility. It's only 25% in there, right? So they're not going to let you make a lot of this thing. Now here's the trick. When I'm watching this thing, if they don't make me a fair price, so where would 450 be? 450 would be what? 298 and a half, 297, 298 and a half would be fair value for me at 450. So as I'm watching this drop, if they don't make me a fair price, I might just go in and buy the stock at 298.50. How crazy would that be? Now, are they making a fair price in here? Let's look at this. $4 is $2.99, so they're giving me 50 cents extrinsic, right? So they're making me 50 cents extrinsic. I'm watching that. If they don't make me a fair price, if this thing plunges down and they don't make me a fair price, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy 100 shares at $298.50, right? And then I'll have to cancel my other order. All right, that's what will have to happen in there. So either I'm going to buy the SPY contract or they're going to give me my profit. Okay, and over here, if I need to, I could always cancel this if they're not going to make me a fair price, and I can go in and buy the SPY. So we just went down to $299.40. Okay, and so we're going to watch this thing going into the close. So I'm going to try to do this as a premiere so we can watch this market drop. Although I don't know if I'm going to have time before I get filled. But we can watch this thing going into the close today. This will be my first premiere. And we can watch together and then we can chat while this thing goes crazy going down. So I'm going to switch off now and then launch a premiere of this, and hopefully I'm not already been taken out for 10 times return before I actually publish this. And again, I don't know where it's going, right? Anything could happen in here. Before I switch this off though, I'm just looking at this. I might get filled before I even can switch this off. Let's just see here. It's hard to say. You see that we just traded up to 419. Anything could happen here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and log off, publish this and do a premiere, and then we can chat while we watch the market close.